And everybody, welcome to the Aloha Deep Dive Podcast. I'm John Watts along with Brad Cook, and today we have someone else with us.
Larry Essary. Larry is a veteran salesperson here at Aloha Pools, and it really only takes a few years to become a veteran salesperson. But Larry's been with us for about 5 years now. And I wanted Larry to come in today because we're going to talk about pool remodels or refurbish. And are y'all hearing that?
Yeah.
Y'all hear? No, you're hearing that squeaking?
No.
You're hearing the squeaking? Okay.
Trust him, not me.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to talk about refurbishing, remodeling, rehabbing, updating your new or your older in-ground swimming pool. And I noticed last year that Larry kind of got on a streak where he had about 3 or 4 right in a row that got a little something different, but had a total, I hate to say total backyard transformation, but really that pretty much what it was. Right. And I just wanted, I figured Larry would be our specialist in this arena. And I wanted to talk with Larry about kind of what goes on in the consumer's mind and what all happens as a part of the, the conversation, like from how it all starts. Like when does a customer come in and start talking about it? So I guess that would be my question is, so when people call you, what are they saying? Like what's the first thing that you hear from somebody that's wanting to redo their pool?
Well, I think the first thing is got a lot to do with aesthetics. Their concrete is worn down, it's cracked. Maybe the pool depth is way deeper, 8 or 10 foot. Old conventional pool, they want that to be in the 6 foot, a more usable depth on their pool. So maybe the pump and filter and pad needs some refurb. So there's various reasons, but I would say just the looks, is what triggers a lot of people.
Yeah, and I spoke a few minutes ago in a video, one of those videos you put on the website, if somebody's looking at the website and seeing their refurbished page, that just to kind of give a quick 2-minute insight as to it before we came on to do this. But there's a lot of pools out there that were built 15 or 20 years ago, and people maybe they didn't know the other stuff was available, or money was a little tight at that time, and so they went with more of a basic package. Now they've since sold their house, or in some cases, I remember there's some people in Martin who got the pool, got the cheaper route, went the cheaper route for the first 15 or 20 years, and then it was time when it came time to get a new liner. They've been around their neighbors and seen all the new advancements in our pool park and all that, and they wanted to do a total makeover. That's a good
question. When would he mentioned the liner being replaced? Is that kind of the best time, or would you recommend any time? Like when is the best time for somebody to make changes if they wanted to do something like add steps or that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a perfect time. I mean, to consider a total makeover. A lot of people, they're satisfied. They'll just buy a new liner, but that's the perfect time. If it's time for a liner, I go back to my personal experience a couple of years ago. I had the ugliest pool in our coverage area.
I remember that.
And we all do. And I'd go out and have morning coffee, late afternoon drink, and I'd just have to get up and go back in the house. It wasn't hitting me right. So we finally pulled the trigger on ours and transformed it, and it's my special place now. I mean, I could actually go out there, if I'm not getting in the pool, spend some quality time around the pool.
So since I'm not familiar with your pool, I'm the new guy here, what all did you do to it to change it?
My pool had done outside fiberglass steps. We kept the shape, but did away with the steps, put an 8x10 ledge with 8-foot steps inside the pool. It just transformed it. Poured the original concrete plus extra concrete, got it all stamped. It just looks great.
Nice.
In fact, he has it on his screensaver on his phone, and he shows it to all of his potential new customers on new pools. And so now, anytime we're building a pool for Larry, we pretty much know that it's going to be a mirror image of his pool because he loves it so much. He convinces everybody that that's what they need as well.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out a way. I don't know whose phone that is, but I'm trying to figure out a way to get that built quicker because it's one of the slower methods of building a pool. It's a beautiful pool, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I love it. But I think I've got a plan. I'll have to show you sometime.
Great.
So with that and talking about what are some of the things what do you think is the most popular upgrade that people do for a pool?
I think the ledge is popular. All of a sudden they see they're able to attain something they didn't get originally. They talk to their friends and they've got the nice lounge chairs on a ledge in a pool. And it is quite an experience. I mean, I don't lay out there to soak in the sun anymore, but it is a good place to be in the water around the activity in a nice restful position. So I would say ledge was a big deal.
You know what? I'll tell you what I've always believed is if you're sitting in a lounge chair, and of course you don't want to get on a vinyl pool for sure. You don't want to get a lounge chair that is overly sharp edges or anything like that. But the liner's really hard, and it on that concrete, and it'll really hold up to a whole lot. But if you're sitting on a 95-degree day and the sun is beaming down on your concrete, the concrete's 120 or 130 degrees, and so you're sitting over that. And instead of doing that, you're on your tanning shelf. You're sitting over 85-degree water, so you're automatically changing your environment and changing your surroundings when you're sitting in the pool. Plus, there's just something kind of cool about you can put a water fountain, shooting up out of the middle. You can put a little table for your drinks to sit on. You can put an umbrella holder in the thing. So if you could imagine walking out and you kind of got the best of both worlds. It's hot, but you're in cool water. It's sunny, but you're in shade.
At the idea of just being able to splash water on me just to cool down, like that's I used to try to back in the day. I think we're all old enough that we remember when getting sun was good,
right? Or we thought it was. Anyway.
Yeah. When you'd lay down and you try to splash on to cool off some. So
yeah, and when you're sitting out there, you're sitting out there, and a lot of the ones that we design are 14 inches deep. But the water doesn't come 14 inches up because it stays about 4 inches below the very top, and so you're in about 10 inches of actual water, and you can get a lot of lounge chairs that sit there at about 12 inches above the ground, and so you just reach right down below you and splash the water up. It's pretty cool experience. And on new pools, I mean, what's the percentage of new pools that you sell that have the tanning shelf, the sun shelf or thermal shelf? It's called so many different things.
Golly, I'd say almost half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Are they more external, or do you sell more external shelves on new pools, or do you sure enough sell the internal ones like you have on your pool?
Well, I've actually taken my design and made it external, which you get the ledge, the steps. What's important to each and every family is how valuable is that shallow water. If they've got kids that's 3, 4, 5, that's got some growth years there, they will build their ledge on the outside. So they've got prime real estate for the kids. They've got real estate for mom and friends. So it just kind of varies with each family's situation.
Yeah.
So being the new guy, I'm going to need an explanation of internal or external ledges, because I don't know. What do you mean by internal? Because I thought they were all internal in the pool. What is external ledge?
Well, if you could imagine a 18 by 36 pool, just that footprint, you can utilize some of that 3'4" or shallow water and build that ledge step combination inside. But you lose some of that shallow water real estate.
I see.
Somebody that wants to maintain that, then they'll make like an L shape off to the side.
Gotcha.
Or extend the pool length, build the ledge then still have their real estate for the small
So you
kids.
would add that ledge onto, that's what external is adding it on to the pool that you already have.
Right.
Which sounds like a perfect refurb pool type situation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And another common, and for new installs especially, another common version is say that you got that 18 by 36 pool, they'll put center an 8 by 12 right in the center of the pool, and some people like that look as well. And there's really not a wrong place to put your tanning shelf. What I do if I'm in somebody's backyard, and it's not that much anymore, but I always look at the sun where it comes up and where it sets in the evening, and we talk about what are you going to be doing with this? Is this really a tanning shelf, or is this for small children to learn how to get acclimated to water and swimming in shallow water, or what are they going to ultimately be doing? Are they sun goddesses, or are they wanting to sit in the shade and all? So,
I got another dumb question, because you know every time somebody says something like there's not a wrong place to put something, rest assured I will find the wrong place to put. So my question is, when you were talking about in the middle of the pool, what I'm thinking is in the middle of the pool. Is it possible to put a sun ledge where you're actually not based off, like where you would have a risen ledge in the middle and then have it deeper all the way around
That's an excellent question.
Okay.
And anything is possible if you've got the money.
Right.
So,
That's true.
and I mean, it's even possible, even with a vinyl liner pool, to put an island in your pool.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And we've not done it, but there's a couple of things that I've always wanted to do, and one of them is put in an island, but you create it by doing a lazy river around it. And I drew one recently. And another thing I did is I want to put in a guitar shaped pool. I'm gonna. If I have to do it for myself somewhere somehow, I'm going to do that. I want to do that. And I want to do it out of vinyl. It's done out of concrete, all the time, especially in Nashville. I'm sure you can fly over and see several of those. But I know it can be done out of vinyl. I've got all my little nooks, and I've got a bench, where one little nook comes out of, imagine a Fender guitar, and I got the steps on the end. And then that long swim lane there, it's going to happen. I'm ready to. If you're watching, and you always wanted a guitar shaped pool, I will do it at an introductory price, because that's really cool. I even have a tanning shelf in there somewhere. I can't remember where it is. It may be in the end of the guitar. So
now you've built a lot of keyboard shaped pools.
I suppose I might.
It's just a rectangle.
I have to think about that, right? Yeah, it's kind of like a lap pool.
Yeah.
We've even built pools with the ledge on the deep end. I think that's a fantastic look.
Yeah.
For maybe an adult age or 16 and up kind of thing, where stepping off in 8 foot of water is not a big deal.
Right.
But it looks awesome even on the deep end.
I'll tell you something that I'm excited about. It would work well in a new pool, or it would work extremely well in a refurbished pool. Is we've got a corner vinyl step. I know you know this, but we've got a corner vinyl step that, let's just say you've got one of those old rectangle pools from the early 70s or late 60s that doesn't have a set of steps in it. We've got a way to put a step in now, where we used to have to tear out concrete floor, form up, and build a concrete step. Now we've got an insert that we can put in and then have a liner made to cover it. So it instantly upgrades the look of your pool and gives you an easy way to get in and out of the pool.
So was that part of those steps that we were looking at whenever we did the New Year's sale?
If you heard me say the 468, that's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could take it another step further. We're going to have a 5 foot bench that we could do the same thing in very easily in a shallow end, or if say you're doing a refurbish and somebody wants one in the deep end and they're shallowing the pool up, then we could recontour the interior of the pool to accommodate a bench in the corner. I just think those are super cool and they're super functional. People like to sit. And imagine this, you're sitting on a bench in your pool, and then we put an umbrella holder right behind it. We watch the sun to make sure we're going to get you some shade at the time that you normally use your pool. That's a great thing about customizing the refurbish or the new pool to fit what the customer wants. Is you walk through this, we walk through this with them, and then get it to where they can picture, okay, it's afternoon, I just mowed, I'm gassed, I'm ready to chill out for a little bit and have the beverage of choice or whatever, and you get to hang out on that bench or get to and sit under the umbrella or sit in the sun. The options on these what used to be basic pools, now the things that we can do on the interior of them, you can literally take somebody in the backyard and they won't know it from a brand new pool, because that's essentially what you get when you get a refurb. Yeah.
And one thing too, all these features we've described, imagine an old pool with the light on deep end, big as a basketball,
the big round
that's
can,
hanging out in the pool with 2 wires. It no longer works. We can accent each and everything that Brad and I talked about with multicolored. When I say multicolored, every color in the rainbow is accessible, and all with on, off, bright, dim, color change. And you accent those areas at night when you go out there, knock your socks off.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we can take this thing, we can take this thing on out to, if the deck is off your pool and you want to add water features, it's a perfect time to have laminars installed that are LED lit, or just simple deck jets, wall fountains, and things like that. That you literally walk out to your new Shangri-La. It's like with that afternoon beverage that you're having that you just turn around and go back inside the house. Now you're gonna stay around for a second round.
So we've talked about ledges, we've talked about lighting, and automation, I guess, would fall into all that as well as another option. You probably
absolutely
all that stuff that you're gonna add. I like when you see like the little waterfalls and the water bowls and things like that. Those look really neat. What about a beach entry, or does that kind of count like an edge? Or ledge, rather.
I'll let
like
Brad
how hard
speak
is that?
to that. That's just another option completely. Well, I say it's completely different. It's a different choice than a ledge.
And we did one for a customer last year. It was a vinyl pool, and it was one of those deals that I've always wanted to do a beach entry, and we did it. And I knew how we were gonna handle it, but a beach entry for a vinyl liner is not easily done, because the vinyl liner requires water pressure to hold it in place, and so you don't find vinyl liners much on a slope. Also, because if somebody's not caring for their pool, or for whatever reason algae starts to grow, a lot of times when algae first blooms, you don't see it. It's clear, you can feel it, and it's slick. So it's not necessarily the safest thing to walk on a slope.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
yeah, especially it's different if you're in water and you slip and fall in water. You're just falling in water, as opposed to hitting concrete. So what we did was we tore out a section of his wall, of the pool owner's wall, and then we extended about 15 feet out, and we made a big arcing circle. And we basically shot a concrete or gunite shell in there, and then we plastered it, and then built a set of steps in. And then, much like the fiberglass pool step that you were talking about a minute ago, that you had on your pool, it has to be a faceplate and gaskets and trimmed in. Yep. Well, we got a colored faceplate gasket system, and we just trimmed in right around that tanning shelf, and we plastered the inside of it. So you could just walk right down into your pool till it got to about a foot deep, and then you step down the rest of the way. And that's a very common thing about tanning shelves. And the very common thing about beach entries is that they take up so much space, because you can only drop 1 inch per foot, or 1 inch and 7 inches. I think it's 1 inch per foot. So it takes 3 or 4 feet before you can ever get to water.
I see.
Because you're coming from the top of the pool, and so it's actually at least 4 feet before you can ever get to an inch of water. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 12 feet before you ever get to 6, 8, or 10 inches of water. So it takes up a lot of real estate, as you were saying earlier, to do the beach entry. More commonly on vinyl pools, you'll find tanning shelves because you step instantly into water, and you're paying for that area. You're paying pool money for all that area that doesn't have any water on it. So it's a nice little statement pool, and we're delighted to do that. I like those type of projects, but it's, I think that one was probably about a $65 all in. That was probably around a $65,000 a refurbish, and he didn't even get a new concrete deck. So,
do we ever have anybody that decides to switch from vinyl to fiberglass, or from fiberglass to gunite, or back and forth, change the entire, I'm tired of changing out my vinyl liner. I want to do a gunite pool now.
And until they get the price, and then they decide vinyl is actually an excellent option.
Gotcha.
Alternative. Yeah.
I actually did one this year. That was the old 12-foot deep pool, 20 by 40.
In the boot heel?
Yeah, we filled in with gravel and actually put a nice size fiberglass pool in the place of that, and just totally changed his whole backyard.
And that worked out
awesome.
Pretty well. Now I've heard that they're more than satisfied on all that. Yeah.
So it is possible. It is something that sometimes happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What do you think's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen someone do? Is there something crazy that I'm looking for the crazy story
involving me, but I'm trying to think.
This is a G-rated show, so
yeah.
Probably shouldn't go there. Weirdest thing, we've seen some odd things over. Nothing's really coming to mind. But I've mentioned this on another video. It's nothing we did, but one of the weirdest things out there in the pool business, the pool world, is that these people come to people's yards posing to be pool people, and they'll get 20% or 50% down. And the first weird thing that comes to my mind is we were at this customer's backyard, and they were saying, so we got the hole, as you can see, so I don't know what you can discount for the hole. And I'm thinking, well, that's a $25, $100 part of the project, and it's going to have to be redone. So that's not a savings, and the person, the builder, I use gigantic air quotes. What he said, the customer said, well, he came out last week and he put this tarp down because he said, it was going to rain, and I looked at the tarp, and it was about 1/3 the size of the pool, and it was just kind of out there on the slope. Placed like, I don't know, all he was protecting of that pool was his own ass.
Oh, gotcha.
He was just doing one little thing to keep them from suing him, and from making the legal proceedings take place. That's I can't believe that a town like St. Louis would allow that to happen. As for instance, it's a big town, but word even gets around. I mean, and these people were saying, I kind of heard that this guy kind of did that, but maybe they found out afterwards or whatever. You couldn't get away with that where we're from. That's a weird thing, but you're talking about maybe weird.
Yeah, weird, I was thinking like, did somebody ever decide to, that they wanted an actual island in the middle? Like you build a pool and then, put a little tree on an actual, real island or something like that.
That's not weird. That's amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I guess not weird, but that just seems odd and expensive. I guess what's the neatest thing is kind of where I was going.
You've been looking at Pinterest too long. There's a lot of those
actually,
on Pinterest.
Several years ago, we built a pool in Parsons for a gentleman that owned several rest homes, and it was a really neat shape. It was like a Gothic Roman. It was a square, and it had radiuses on every straight wall. So it was constantly either going from radius to 90 degrees to 90 degree to radius and all the way. And we did actually put a fountain island right there in the middle of that. It was a concrete pool, a very expensive project even at that time. So,
Neat.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and we've done some swimming lanes, like take a 20 by 40 pool and then add a 35-foot swimming lane onto the end of it. So it looks a little odd, but what you get is if you got a kid that's a competition swimmer, they get to swim that in their in their backyard. And a lot of times, when you grow up wanting a pool and you grow up swimming, or maybe you grew up as a swimmer, you do that for your own indulgence.
Right.
You like that feeling that you get from swimming, and so I have no doubt that we've done that before for adult swimmers as well.
So, Larry, what is your advice for someone that's looking at their pool? Maybe they're not happy. They've got an older pool. They're not happy with the way it looks or some of the things. What's the first step? Should they just call you and you're going to walk them through everything and go over options, or what happens?
Yeah, I think that phone call with wants and wishes and maybe their dream pool, but nothing beats my feet in their backyard. We can have that conversation. We can see what actually fits. We can just show them photos of similar pools that we've done that's going to look almost like theirs. Just being in that backyard, I think after that initial call is crucial. Monday, I'm going to Martin for another refurb.
Nice.
It's different than some of them we've done in the past. It's just we can make those dreams come true. But being in that backyard is crucial.
And the reason I wanted to have this conversation, is because it's becoming more and more common. As I said earlier, it could have been in the other video, but we've been doing this since the late 60s, and there's thousands of pools out there that are perfectly fine structurally and don't need to be torn out, but can just get a facelift, and it just totally changes the look of the pool. And it can be done pretty affordably, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, what's the average cost of a refurb? Or is that even a fair question?
Well, it really depends on, you can do a lot with just changing out your liner and adding a corner bench, and you might be $10,000 for something like, or $5,000 to $12,000 for something like that. And then, it can go up to $65,000 or $75,000. I think the thing about that is if you compare that to building a new one, you're looking at a $75,000 refurbish is probably like a $90,000 to $100,000 pool.
Right.
So you're starting off a lot further ahead than people don't have anything.
No matter what, you've got a head start on the process. Even if you were to redo your entire pool based off of what. I mean, I did see one. I was looking at a video and I saw one where we went in and literally dug out the entire pool that was existing and expanded it on all four sides and just made it. So I'm guessing that's probably on the higher end to dig it out and just make it much larger. And
that's not uncommon as well. I mean, it's if somebody wants, you and I, Larry, were talking about one south of here, and sometimes when you start running the numbers on it, or what it would take to do, it was a lot more surgical type of a deal where they wanted an external tanning shelf outside the shell. And for us, we have to weigh our time. Mm-hmm. And so what I mean by that is if we're going to have to tear out, sometimes it works out to where you're tearing out concrete by hand and then you're sawing out walls and extending the pool. We've got to put that up against the manpower hours and the time on the job. We put that up against what it would take to take our large excavator and dump truck out there and just tear the whole thing out. Some of it has to do with access. If you can't get the large equipment back there, then you're forced to do it by hand. Or if you want to add on to the size of the pool, and sometimes it lends itself to tear it all out and start over, but it depends on several factors. As he said, his feet in the backyard will help to sort that out and figure out which the best
Well, I guess to wrap it up, what is the final word on this? What do we want to advice to give the homeowner, or that kind of thing?
I'll say this, and I want you to have the final word. Nowadays, when you buy a pool and when you put a new pool in your backyard, a real estate appraiser will give you about half the price of what you pay. I've always heard that they'll appraise your pool at about half the price that you pay for a pool at the time, at the value at that point. When you refurbish your pool, and it's more than likely you're going to live there for a long time. Well, they will reappraise that at half the price of the value of that pool is currently. But in 10 years, everything is going to double. And if you have an up-to-date pool, you're likely going to get that back in equity as your price of your home increases. So will the price of your what you spend on your pool. So yeah, you're going to have to write some of it off as expense and just general upkeep on your house. But there's a really good chance, whether you're getting a new pool or you're getting your pool refurbished, that you're going to make it back, not only in the convenience and the pride that you have in your property, but in your real estate. It'll eventually catch up.
Larry?
Yeah, I think in our world, we love referrals. I guess the first one I did last year, guess what? Those people have friends that comes over to their pool that also own a pool. So 3 within a couple of miles last year, people see what we can do. They don't want theirs to look just like their neighbors. That's why feet on the street and some think tank is good. But if you're out there and your pool was like mine, it kind of made you bow your head, give us a call. I mean, as Brad said, this thing ranges from 10 to whatever, you're willing to put into it, but a good average price. All these people love the price. They were good with it. They love the product when we got it delivered. I saw a girl in Walmart the other day that I asked her, I said, "Hey, you skating on that pool yet?" She goes, "No, but we like the blank out of it all summer long." So,
nice.
Yeah, if you got a refurb out there that you're just thinking about, doesn't hurt to give us a call.
So, Aloha Pools and Spas, Larry Essary, along with Brad Cook and myself, John Watts. Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast. We'll catch you next week. And, happy swimming.
Thank you, Larry.